Welcome back, traveler. Sit right next to me. The fire before us is a low, rhythmic pulse of amber and gold, the only thing standing between our small circle and the vast, encroaching velvet of the Central Asian night. We are sitting in the courtyard of a caravanserai, a fortress of stone and mud brick that has stood for centuries as a sanctuary for those who move between the worlds. Around us, the walls are thick, built to withstand the lashing sands of the Gobi and the bitter winds of the Pamirs. They hold the heat of the day long after the sun has dipped below the horizon, radiating a faint, sun-baked warmth that settles into your bones. Listen to the sounds of the courtyard as it prepares for rest. The day's frantic energy has dissolved into a slow, heavy symphony of preparation. You can hear the rhythmic, wet sound of camels chewing their cud, a steady and ancient grinding that seems to pace the very heartbeat of the Silk Road. Occasionally, one of the great beasts groans, a deep, resonating vibration that starts in its chest and echoes off the stone walls, before it finally settles its massive weight into the dust with a soft, billowing thud. There is the metallic clink of brass bells being unbuckled from leather harnesses and the dry rustle of coarse wool blankets being draped over tired backs. These sounds are not noises. They are the punctuation marks of a journey that spans continents. The air here is thick with the history of travel. If you breathe in deeply, you can smell the layers of the Silk Road. There is the sharp, resinous scent of burning juniper and tamarisk wood in our fire, sending thin ribbons of blue smoke up toward a sky so clear it looks like a sheet of dark glass. Beneath that is the comforting, malty aroma of brick tea simmering in a blackened iron pot, seasoned with a pinch of salt and a dollop of yak butter. And deeper still, if you linger on the scent, you find the ghosts of the day's trade, the faint, dusty sweetness of dried apricots from the Fergana Valley, the earthy musk of raw wool, and the subtle, metallic tang of cold iron. It is a fragrance of movement, a scent that tells your mind you are no longer in one place, but in transition between all places. Take a moment to feel the weight of the journey ahead. To the east, the great gates of Chang'an have already closed, locking away the comforts of the Middle Kingdom behind miles of terraced hills and river valleys. To the west lies a distance that the mind can barely fathom, thousands of miles of shifting dunes, mountain passes where the air is too thin to carry a shout, and emerald oases that appear like miracles in the dust. Every traveler in this courtyard carries that weight. You can see it in the way the merchants lean back against their saddlebags, their eyes fixed on the embers. You can feel it in the stillness of the guards, whose hands remain close to their curved blades even in sleep. It is not a weight of burden, but a weight of purpose. It is the gravity of knowing that tomorrow, when the first light touches the high battlements, we will become a single, living thread in a tapestry that stretches to the very edge of the world. The fire pops, sending a single orange spark spiraling upward, higher and higher, until it is lost among the stars. Those stars are our only map. They have guided the Han, the Sogdians, the Persians, and the Romans. Tonight, they watch over us. Here, within the safety of these walls, the world is small and manageable. Beyond the gate, the world is infinite. But the infinite can wait for the morning. Tonight, your only task is to be still. Your only duty is to listen to the fire and the breathing of the camels. Imagine the texture of the ground beneath you. It is a mixture of packed earth and fine, silken sand that has been carried here by the boots of a million travelers. It feels solid and ancient. You are resting on the bones of history. Every stone in this caravanserai has a memory of a different language, a different prayer, a different dream. As you lean back, let the tension in your shoulders dissolve into the stone. Let the constant, internal ticking of your daily life, the schedules, the worries, the haste, fall away. On the Silk Road, time is measured not in minutes, but in the distance between wells. It is measured in the patience of the camel's stride. The tea in the pot is bubbling softly now, a gentle, liquid murmur. A merchant nearby pours a cup, and the steam rises in a white plume, momentarily obscuring the stars. In this half-light, the faces of your fellow travelers are soft and anonymous. We are all the same tonight, souls seeking warmth and a moment of quiet before the desert claims our footprints. There is a profound brotherhood in this silence. It is the peace of those who know that they are small in the face of the horizon. Feel the cooling air on your skin. The desert heat has retreated, leaving behind a crisp, invigorating chill that makes the warmth of the fire feel like a physical embrace. You pull your heavy sheepskin cloak closer around you. The wool is coarse and smells of the high steppes, providing a barrier between you and the vast, empty space beyond the walls. Within this cloak, you are a world unto yourself, a small, warm spark of consciousness in the middle of a sleeping continent. The camel bells have finally gone silent. The last of the horses has been watered and tethered. The shadows on the walls are long and slow, moving in time with the dying flames. The caravanserai is drifting into a collective slumber, a shared breath that unites the silk weaver from the east with the spice merchant from the west. We are at the crossroads of the world, a place where all paths meet for a few hours of darkness before diverging once again. Let your mind drift westward, following the path we will take tomorrow. Imagine the dunes of the Taklamakan, frozen in the moonlight like waves of silver silk. Imagine the silent peaks of the Pamirs, their glacier glowing with a faint, inner light. These places are waiting for us, but they do not demand us yet. For now, they are only dreams. For now, the only reality is the smell of the tea, the warmth of the embers, and the weight of your own body sinking into the earth. The fire is no longer a roar, it is a whisper. The wood has turned to white ash, glowing with a soft, internal heat that pulses like a distant star. It is the color of the moon on the sand. As the light fades, the courtyard grows larger, the walls receding into the gloom until it feels as though we are sleeping under the open sky itself. You are safe here. The gates are barred. The watchman is on the roof, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The journey is long, but tonight, the road is still. Listen to the silence. It is a deep, layered silence that exists only in the heart of the wilderness. It is the sound of the wind moving over stones that haven't been touched in 1,000 years. It is the sound of the earth cooling. Within that silence, you can find the space to let go. You can drop the burden of the journey. You can leave the weight of the road at the edge of the fire. The embers are winking out, one by one. The red light is turning to grey. The world is becoming a place of soft edges and blurred lines. You are no longer a traveller. You are simply a part of the night. You are the smoke. You are the starlight. You are the cooling stone. The Silk Road is a ribbon of memory, and tonight you are woven into its center. Breathe in the last scent of the pimento wood and the salt tea. Feel the incredible, heavy peace of the caravanserai. The desert is wide, the mountains are high, and the road is endless. But here, in the circle of the stones, there is only rest. The camels are dreaming of the long grass of the valleys. The merchants are dreaming of home. And you, traveller, are invited to dream of the horizon. The final spark of the fire vanishes. The darkness is complete and kind. It settles over you like a shroud of the finest silk, light yet warm, protective and deep. The Silk Road has seen 1 billion nights like this one, and it will see 1 billion more. You are home in the heart of the journey. You are home in the heart of the world. Wait for the dawn, but do not look for it yet. Stay here in the grey light of the dying embers. Let the silence be your guide. The road will be there when you wake. The camels will be ready. The bells will ring again. But for now, there is only the deep, vast, and silent peace of the Silk Road night. Sleep now, while the stars hold the map. Sleep now, while the desert breathes. The journey is beginning, and the journey is already complete. To understand the beginning of the Silk Road, you must first visualize the sheer, staggering scale of Chang'an. In the 8th century, this was not merely a city, it was the center of the known universe, a golden metropolis of over 1 million souls where the sun seemed to linger longer on the yellow-tiled roofs of the Tang palaces than anywhere else on earth. Imagine standing at the threshold of the Mingda Gate, the southern entrance to the city, as the morning mist begins to lift. The air is cool and crisp, carrying the scent of wood smoke from 100,000 breakfast fires and the sharp, clean aroma of pine from the nearby mountains. Behind you lies a grid of perfect symmetry, 108 walled wards, wide avenues lined with pagoda trees, and the constant, rhythmic chime of temple bells that keep the heartbeat of the empire. But we are moving toward the West Market. This is the starting line of the journey, a place where the air changes, becoming thicker and more exotic. As you walk through the crowded streets, the sounds of the city begin to merge into a single, overwhelming roar of commerce. You hear the clatter of iron-shod hooves on stone, the high-pitched haggling of merchants in a dozen different dialects, and the rhythmic thumping of hammers from the metalworkers' street. Here, the world has come to trade. You see Persians in their pointed caps, Sogdians with their deep-set eyes and heavy beards, and monks from the western mountains carrying scrolls of sacred texts. They are all here for the same reason, the wealth of the Middle Kingdom. At the heart of this frenzy is the substance that gives the road its name. Imagine walking into a high-end silk warehouse at the edge of the market. The light inside is filtered through paper screens, casting a soft, milky glow over piles of fabric that seem to possess a light of their own. You reach out and touch a bolt of raw, unspun silk. It is a sensation unlike any other in the world. It is cool to the touch, almost liquid, yet as it warms against your skin, it takes on a soft, organic heat. It feels both fragile and incredibly strong, a shimmering paradox of nature. This is the labor of millions of tiny silkworms, fed on the leaves of the white mulberry tree, their life's work unspooled and woven into a fabric so light it can be pulled through a finger ring, yet so durable it will last for generations. You run your hand over a piece of heavy damask, feeling the intricate patterns of dragons and phoenixes raised in the weave. This is the currency of the road. In the high plateaus and deserts ahead, these bolts of cloth will be more valuable than gold. They will buy the protection of warlords, the loyalty of guides, and the water of hidden oases. The silk is not just trade. It is the physical manifestation of the East's mystery, a secret guarded with the threat of death. To carry it out of the city gates is to carry a piece of the Emperor's soul into the wild. Now, move with me to the staging grounds where the caravan is forming. The morning sun is now high enough to catch the dust kicked up by hundreds of hoofed feet, turning the air into a shimmering haze of gold. This is where the weighty of the journey becomes physical. You see the Bactrian camels, the true kings of the Silk Road. They are massive, prehistoric-looking creatures with two shaggy humps and thick, woolly coats that smell of musk and dry grass. They stand with a sort of stoic arrogance, their heavy eyelids half-closed as if they are already bored with the miles ahead. Watch the packers at work. This is a delicate science, a ritual of balance. Each camel must carry up to 500 pounds, but the weight must be distributed perfectly. You hear the groan of the camels as the heavy wooden frames are strapped to their backs. Into the panniers go the treasures, the silk, of course, but also fine porcelain wrapped in straw to prevent breakage, bundles of pressed tea, cakes of fragrant camphor, and small, lead-sealed jars of cinnamon. The packers move with a practiced, silent efficiency, pulling the leather thongs tight and knotting them with a finality that says, "This will not be opened again until we reach the other side of the world." The atmosphere is one of focused tension. There is very little laughter here. Departure is a serious business, a severance. Many of the men standing in this dust will not see the yellow tiles of Chang'an again for years. Some will never see them at all. You see family members standing at the edge of the line, offering final prayers and small charms of carved jade for protection. There is the scent of spilled wine on the ground, a libation to the gods of the road, asking for clear paths and full wells. Suddenly, the lead camel puller raises his staff. A single, deep brass bell rings out, followed by another, and then a chaotic, musical jangle as 100 animals begin to move. The sound is the true anthem of the Silk Road, the song of the caravan. It is a slow, walking rhythm, dictated by the heavy, splayed feet of the camels hitting the packed earth. Thumping, thumping. It is a pace that feels maddeningly slow at first, but it is the only pace that can conquer a continent. We pass through the Great Western Gate. As the archway of the city wall swallows us in shadow for a brief moment, you feel the temperature drop. The air is damp and smells of cold stone. And then, we emerge. The transition is jarring. Behind us is the most sophisticated city on earth, a place of poetry, lore, and tea houses. Ahead of us is the unknown. The paved road of the city gives way to a wide, dusty track that disappears into the hazy green of the Wei River Valley. As the city walls of Chang'an begin to shrink behind us, look at the horizon. The lush green of the central plains is already beginning to pale. In the distance, you can see the faint, jagged outlines of the Qinling Mountains, the first of many barriers. The air feels different out here. It is thinner, wilder, and unburdened by the smells of a million people. It is the air of the frontier. The journey of 10,000 li begins with these first few miles of dust. Your boots, once polished for the city streets, are already covered in a fine, pale powder. You are no longer a citizen. You are a traveler. Everything you own in the world is now carried on the back of an animal or strapped to your own frame. This is a shedding of the self. The titles you held in the city, the debts you owed, the reputation you cultivated, none of it matters now. The road only cares about your endurance, your water supply, and your ability to keep moving when the wind turns against you. The sun begins to track toward the west, pulling our shadows out long in front of us. It is as if the light itself is beckoning us toward the sunset, drawing the caravan forward. You hear the constant, low-level chatter of the merchants. They are talking about the price of jade in Khotan, the rumors of bandits in the Gansu corridor, and the quality of the water in the next day's march. Their voices are comfort, a human barrier against the growing vastness of the landscape. We are passing small villages now, the last outposts of a home. The children come out to watch the caravan pass, their eyes wide at the sight of the strange, shaggy camels and the exotic goods. To them, we are the adventurers, the bringers of stories from far-off lands. But we know the truth. We are just beginning. We are still in the shadow of the empire, protected by its forts and its prestige. The real test lies beyond the Jade Gate, where the Great Wall ends and the Sea of Death begins. But for today, the walking is easy. The ground is level, and the river provides a constant supply of water. Feel the rhythmic sway of the journey settling into your muscles. Your hips move in time with the camel's stride. The world becomes a series of simple, repetitive sensations. The sun on your left cheek, the sound of the bells, the smell of the dust, and the sight of the lead camel's tail swaying like a pendulum. This is the unknown that you have embraced. It is not a place of sudden terror, but a gradual stretching of the world. With every mile, the horizon grows wider. With every hour, the city of Chang'an becomes more like a dream, and the road becomes the only reality. You are moving toward the setting sun, carrying the silk of the east to the kings of the west. You are a bridge made of flesh and bone and heavy, woolly fur. The evening begins to settle over the valley. The sky turns a bruised purple, and the first stars, the same stars that will guide us for the next year, begin to blink into existence. The lead puller signals for the first camp. The caravan doesn't stop so much as it collapses into place. The camels are led into a circle, their heavy loads unstrapped with a collective groan of relief. The smell of small, quick fires begins to fill the air. As you sit on your pack, looking back toward the east, you can no longer see the gates of the city. You can only see the darkening line of the earth. The unknown is no longer in front of you. It is all around you. You have taken the first step. You have touched the silk. You have heard the bells. The road has accepted you. Breathe in the cooling air of the plains. Tonight, the grass is still green and the water is sweet. Tomorrow, the landscape will change. The mountains will grow taller, the trees will grow shorter, and the sand will begin to whisper. But tonight, you have the memory of the golden city to keep you warm. You are a traveler on the Great Silk Road, and the gates are closed behind you. There is only the way forward. Let the rhythm of the first day's march echo in your mind as you close your eyes. Thumping, thumping, thumping. The pace is set. The journey has begun. You are moving west, and the world is opening its arms to receive you. Sleep in the quiet of the first camp, for the road is long, and the desert is waiting. The lush river valleys of the east have long since vanished, replaced by a landscape so vast and so indifferent that it seems to have been forged before the beginning of time. We have entered the Gobi, and beyond it, the terrifying expanse of the Taklamakan, a name that, in the local tongues, means if you go in, you do not come out. Here, the world is reduced to two primary elements: the earth below, which is a shifting sea of scorched sand and gravel, and the sky above, a relentless dome of polished cobalt that offers no shade and no mercy. The Silk Road is no longer a path. It is a memory, a series of waypoints marked by the bleached bones of those who miscalculated the distance between wells. The silence of the high desert is unlike any other silence on earth. It is not the absence of sound, but a heavy, physical presence that rings in your ears. In the city, silence is a gap between noises, but here, silence is the foundation. It is a vacuum that swallows the jangle of the camel bells and the crunch of boots on parched earth, leaving only the sound of your own breath and the steady, internal rhythm of your heart. When the wind drops, the stillness is so absolute that you can hear the dry, metallic click of a pebble expanding in the heat or the soft, sifting sound of sand sliding down the face of a distant dune. It is a silence that forces you to look inward, stripping away the trivialities of the mind until only the most essential thoughts remain. As the sun climbs toward its zenith, the heat becomes a living thing. It does not just touch your skin, it presses against you with the weight of 1,000 suns. The horizon begins to dissolve into a shimmering, liquid haze, creating the cruel illusion of distant lakes and cooling groves. These are the mirages, the spirits of the desert that have lured 1,000 thirsty travelers to their ends. The air itself seems to vibrate, thick with a heat that tastes of dust and old stone. You wrap your face in a linen scarf, leaving only a slit for your eyes, but the dry air still finds its way into your lungs, parching your throat until every swallow feels like a labor of will. Feel the transition of the sand beneath the camel's feet. In the morning, the dunes are firm and cool, carved by the night winds into sharp, elegant ridges that look like frozen waves. But as the day progresses, the sand becomes a fluid, treacherous ocean. It flows into your boots, It finds every seam in your clothing. It coats your skin in a fine, gritty powder that feels like a second, unwanted layer of flesh. The camels move through it with a heavy, splayed-toe gait, their wide pads acting like natural snowshoes to keep them from sinking. Every step is a coordinated effort of muscle and balance. You watch the lead camel's hump swaying rhythmically, a slow, hypnotic pendulum that marks the passage of hours in a land where time has no other measure. Then, there is the phenomenon that gives this chapter its name, the singing sands. As the caravan traverses the slopes of the massive dunes, some rising 500 feet into the air, the movement of the camels triggers miniature avalanches of sand. In the unique acoustics of the deep desert, this friction creates a low, booming hum, a resonant vibration that sounds like the deep notes of a pipe organ or the distant roar of a coming storm. The legends say these are the voices of desert ghouls, calling out the names of travelers to lure them away from the line of the caravan. Others say they are the ghosts of buried armies, still marching to an ancient drum. But to the experienced traveler, the Song of the Sands is a reminder of the desert's power, a physical manifestation of the energy stored in these shifting mountains of grit. As the sun begins its long, slow descent, the landscape undergoes a dramatic transformation. The harsh, white light of midday softens into a deep, saturated gold, casting shadows that stretch for 100 yards across the valley floor. The textures of the dunes, previously washed out by the glare, suddenly snap into sharp relief. Every ripple and crest is highlighted in orange and violet, creating a world of such intense beauty that for a moment, you forget the thirst and the exhaustion. This is the golden hour ear of the Silk Road, the brief window where the desert feels not like a prison, but like a cathedral. But the beauty is fleeting, for the desert is a place of extremes. The moment the sun dips below the horizon, the heat vanishes as if it were never there. The earth, which only an hour ago was hot enough to blister skin, begins to radiate its warmth back into the atmosphere, leaving behind a biting, crystalline chill. The transition is violent. You shed your sun-parched linen and pull on heavy furs and woolens. The moisture in the air vanishes, and your breath begins to puff in white clouds under a sky that has turned a deep, bruised indigo. This is the time of the night march. In the hottest months, the caravan often rests during the furnace heat of the day and moves under the guidance of the stars. The world shrinks to the circle of a few yards around your camel. You move through a landscape of silver and ink. The stars here are not the distant pinpricks seen from a city wall. They are brilliant, multicolored jewels that seem close enough to touch. The Milky Way is a luminous, tattered banner draped across the heavens, so bright that it casts faint, ghostly shadows on the sand. You follow the pole star, their great anchor, which keeps the caravan's nose pointed toward the western gaps in the mountains. The cold of the night march is a different kind of challenge. It seeps into your joints and numbs your fingers, making the task of adjusting a harness or drinking from a leather skin a clumsy ordeal. Yet, there is a profound clarity in the desert night. The air is so dry and so thin that the stars do not twinkle. They glow with a steady, unwavering light. You feel as though you are moving through the void of space itself, a tiny spark of human life traversing a lunar landscape. Listen to the sounds of the night camp. When the caravan finally stops, There is the hollow clatter of dry brush being gathered for a fire, shriveled stalks of saxaul and camel thorn that burn with a hot, fierce flame and a scent of ancient resins. The camels are hog-tied, their heavy breathing creating a low, comforting white noise. The merchants sit close to the fire, their faces lit from below by the orange glow, their eyes reflecting the embers. There is very little talk. The desert has a way of silencing the tongue. People speak in low murmurs, as if afraid to wake the vast, sleeping emptiness around them. In this camp, the weighty of the Taklamakan is most palpable. You are hundreds of miles from the nearest tree, the nearest river, the nearest village. You are entirely dependent on the two humps of the camel and the leather skins of water that have begun to taste of salt and animal hide. This is the crucible of the Silk Road. It is here that the weak are filtered from the strong, where the greedy are filtered from the wise. To survive the singing sands, one must adopt the philosophy of the sand itself. You must be flexible, you must be patient, and you must move with the wind rather than fighting against it. Imagine the legends shared around these fires. Stories of cities buried in a single night by a sandstorm, their golden towers still standing beneath the dunes, filled with silk and jade and the skeletons of kings. Stories of the old man of the sands who appears to lone travelers, offering a bowl of cool water that turns to dust as soon as it touches the lips. These stories serve a purpose. They are the boundaries of the desert, the psychological walls that keep the travelers huddled together in the safety of the caravan. As you lie on your mat, looking up at the rotating heavens, the sense of scale is overwhelming. You are a grain of sand in a sea of grains. Yet, there is a strange comfort in this insignificance. The desert demands nothing of you but your presence. It does not care about your past or your future. It only requires that you take the next step. The rhythm of the march, the sway of the camel, the jingle of the bell, the crunch of the sand, becomes a form of meditation. It is a slow, walking prayer that spans the width of a continent. The night wind begins to pick up, a low, mournful whistling that stirs the fine dust at the edges of the camp. It carries the smell of distance, of cold stone and ancient, dried salt lakes. You bury your face in your furs, letting the warmth of your own body create a small sanctuary. The Yasangi of the dunes is silent for now, replaced by the soft, rhythmic grinding of the camel's teeth as they dream of the green valleys of the west. Tomorrow, the sun will return with its golden hammer. Tomorrow, the mirages will dance again on the horizon. Tomorrow, we will find the next cairn of stones that marks the way to the Jade gate. But tonight, the desert is a vast, silver cradle. The silence is your blanket, and the stars are your companions. You have crossed the threshold of the singing sands, and the heart of the wilderness has accepted your passage. Let your thoughts drift like the fine dust on the wind. You are moving through a world that is eternal and unchanging, a traveler in a sea of time. The heat and the cold are just the breaths of the earth. The silence is the voice of the stars. You are safe in the center of the emptiness. Sleep now, while the sands are still. Sleep now, while the caravan holds its breath. The desert is wide, but the path is true, and the morning is a long, long way away. As the last of the saxaul wood turns to grey ash, the indigo of the sky begins to soften into a pale, ghostly violet in the east. The weighty of the desert is lifting, preparing to transform once again into the golden challenge of the day. But for these final hours of darkness, there is only the peace of the great silence. You are a part of the Taklamakan now, a spirit of the sand, resting before the bells call you back to the road. The journey continues, one grain of sand at a time, moving west toward the mountains that touch the sky. Behind us lies the shimmering heat of the singing sands, and before us, rising like a jagged backbone out of the dusty earth, stands the final sentinel of the Middle Kingdom. We have reached Chang'an, the Jade Gate. This is not merely a gate in a wall, it is the edge of the world as the empire defines it. For 1,000 years, this square fortress of rammed earth has stood as the last gasp of civilization, the final point where the lore of the emperor carries the weight of iron. Beyond this archway, the paved roads, the postal stations, and the familiar comforts of the east dissolve into the trackless wild of the steppe and the high plateaus of the west. Stand for a moment at the base of these walls. They are made of layers of local gravel and desert reeds, compressed over centuries into a substance as hard as stone, weathered by the relentless winds into a pale, ghostly yellow. The Jade Gate earned its name because it was the only portal through which the precious, milk-green stone of Khotan could legally enter the heart of China. To the merchants in our caravan, passing through this gate is a moment of profound psychological weight. Behind you is the safety of the Great Wall, a barrier that separates the ordered world from the chaotic one. Ahead lies the western regions, a land of nomadic tribes, shifting allegiances, and landscapes that do not appear on any official map. The air at the Jade Gate is different from the deep desert. It carries a sharp, metallic edge, a premonition of the mountains that wait on the horizon. There is a constant, low-level wind that whistles through the arrow slits of the fortress, sounding like a distant flute. This is the wind of the high steppe, a wind that has traveled thousands of miles across open grass and frozen peaks without hitting a single obstacle. It smells of dry sage, crushed stone, and the faint, earthy musk of the wild horses that roam the plains beyond the wall. Observe the soldiers who man this final outpost. They are men of the frontier, their faces bronzed and etched with deep lines from years of squinting into the western sun. Their armor is worn, the leather cracked and repaired with coarse twine, and their eyes have a faraway look that comes from standing on the edge of the void. They watch the caravan with a mixture of professional scrutiny and a touch of envy. To them, we are the ones moving toward the horizon, while they are the ones tasked with holding the line. There is a somber ritual to the passage, the inspection of travel permits, the checking of the lead camel's brand, and the final stamping of the bark paper scrolls. When the heavy wooden beam of the gate is finally lifted, the sound of it creaking on its hinges is the sound of a door closing on the life you once knew. As we step through the gate and emerge on the western side, the landscape opens up in a way that is almost overwhelming. The Great Wall does not just stop, it peters out, its watchtowers becoming more distant and lonely until they vanish into the haze. The transition is immediate. The ground beneath the camel's feet changes from the soft, treacherous sand of the dunes to a hard, sun-baked earth covered in a thin skin of gravel and scrub. This is the Ragobi Altai transition, the threshold of the Great Eurasian Steppe. The steppe is a world of horizontal infinity. It is a vast, rolling ocean of thorny grass and grey-green shrubs that seems to tilt toward the sky. There are no trees to break the view, no hills to hide behind. It is a landscape that demands total exposure. Here, the weighty of the journey changes from the struggle against the elements to the struggle against the scale of the earth. You feel small, not as a grain of sand, but as a single point moving across a giant, unmoving map. The silence here is different from the desert. It is not empty, but filled with the rustle of dry grass and the occasional, lonely cry of a predatory hawk circling high above in the thermal currents. The caravan takes on a new formation now. In the desert, we moved in a tight, protective line, but on the open frontier, the column stretches out. The camels seem to sense the change in the air. Their pace quickens, their heavy heads swaying with a renewed vigor as they catch the scent of the rare, hidden springs that dot this landscape. We are moving toward the Gansu Corridor, a narrow passage of habitable land squeezed between the towering mountains of the south and the shifting sands of the north. This is the land of 3 heavenly horses. To the left of our path, the Chilean mountains rise up like a wall of blue ice, their snow-capped peaks feeding the small streams that allow life to exist in this corridor. You can see the dark ribbons of green marking the water's edge, where the grass is thick and the air is cool. Occasionally, we pass a camp of nomadic herders, the people of the felt tents. Their dwellings, the jas, look like white mushrooms dotting the plain. You can smell the scent of their life from a mile away, the sharp tang of fermenting mare's milk, the oily smell of sheep's wool, and the sweet, heavy aroma of dried dung fires. These nomads are the true masters of the frontier. They move with the seasons, following the grass as it cycles from the valleys to the high pastures. To the merchants of the Silk Road, they are both a threat and a necessity. They are the providers of fresh horses and sturdy camels, the guides who know the secret mountain passes, and the warriors who must be paid in silken grain to ensure safe passage. There is a cautious, silent respect between the caravan and the steppe dwellers. We represent the static wealth of the cities. They represent the fluid power of the wild. As the sun begins to set behind the western mountains, the Jade gate is long gone, lost in the shimmering dust of the trail. The sky turns a deep, electric violet, and the shadow of the Chilean mountains stretches across the steppe like a giant hand. The temperature drops with a sudden, bone-chilling clarity. This is not the dry cold of the desert, but a damp, biting chill that comes from the proximity of the glacier. You pull on your heavy felt boots and your wool-lined hat, feeling the ancient, rugged texture of the frontier close in around you. The night camp on the steppe is a world of shadows and wind. Without the stone walls of the caravanserai to protect us, we create our own fortress. The camels are arranged in a massive, tight circle, their bodies acting as a living windbreak. Inside this circle, the fires are small and focused, shielded by the saddles and packs. The wood we burn here is different, gnarled, ancient roots that have survived for a century in the wind, burning with a bright, popping intensity and a scent that is both bitter and clean. Sit by the fire and look out into the darkness beyond the circle of light. On the steppe, the night feels alive. You can hear the distant, haunting howl of a wolf, a sound that starts low and rises to a mournful peak, carrying for miles across the open ground. It is answered by another, and then another, a chorus of the wild that reminds you that you are a guest in this landscape. The camels grow restless, their ears twitching toward the dark, their deep, guttural grunts a warning to anything lurking in the shadows. But there is also an incredible sense of freedom here. Back in Chang'an, the world was defined by walls, by gates, and by the watchful eyes of the bureaucracy. Here, the only law is the horizon. You could turn your horse in any direction and ride for a month without hitting a fence. The stars above the steppe are massive and close, unfiltered by the dust of the desert. You can see the constellations of the nomad, the 7 gods of the Big Dipper, the silver stake of the North Star. They feel like personal guardians, marking the path through a land that has no landmarks. Think of the goods we are carrying. The silk in our packs is moving from the world of the loom and the city into a world of the saddle and the sky. In the tents of the nomads, this silk will be transformed into royal robes, into banners, and into diplomatic gifts. It is the thread that binds these 2 disparate worlds together. We are the carriers of that thread. Every mile we move west of the Jade Gate is a mile into a more complex, more dangerous, and more vibrant tapestry of human existence. The transition from a civilization near to the frontier is also a transition of the self. Your thoughts begin to move in longer, slower cycles. You no longer think about the news of the court or the price of grain in the capital. You think about the condition of the lead camel's feet, the amount of water left in the skins, and the direction of the wind. You have become a creature of the steppe. Your skin is becoming toughened by the wind, your eyes sharpened by the vast distances. You are shedding the soft layers of the city dweller and growing the hard, lean spirit of the traveler. As the night deepens, the wind on the steppe begins to settle into a steady, rhythmic sigh. It moves through the grass like a giant, invisible hand, creating a sound like the rushing of a distant river. Inside the circle of the camels, the air is still and warm. The fires have burned down to glowing hearts of red, and the only sound is the rhythmic, heavy breathing of the animals. It is a deep, primal sound, the sound of life persisting in a landscape that offers nothing but space. Imagine the Great Wall far behind us now, a thin, crumbling line of earth that the desert is slowly reclaiming. It feels like a relic of a past life. The Jade Gate was the exit from the known. The steppe is the entrance to the possible. We are moving toward the roof of the world, in the high Pamirs where the air turns to ice and the mountains touch the stars. But that is a journey for another week. For tonight, we are held in the vast, grassy embrace of the frontier. The stars continue their slow, silent rotation overhead. The Milky Way is a river of light that shows the way westward, flowing toward the dark gaps in the mountains. You are a part of that flow. You are a part of the movement of people, goods, and ideas that has been pulsing across this landscape for centuries. The Jade Gate is closed, the steppe is open, and the road is calling. Breathe in the cold, sage-scented air of the night. Feel the incredible solidity of the earth beneath you. You are resting in the transition, in the space between what was and what will be. The empire is a memory, the frontier is the reality. The silence of the steppe is a wide, welcoming blanket, and the stars are the only lanterns you need. Sleep now, traveler, while the wolves sing to the moon. Sleep now, while the grass ripples in the wind. The Jade Gate was the end of the beginning, and the true journey has only just started. The horizon is wide, the stars are true, and the morning will find us further west, deeper into the wild, moving with the steady, patient heart of the caravan. The vast, rolling horizon of the steppe has been replaced by a vertical wall of stone and ice. We have reached the base of the Pamirs, the place the ancients called the roof of the world, where the mountains of the Himalaya, the Karakoram, the Chang'an, and the Hindu Kush all collide in a knot of granite and snow. This is the most grueling and dangerous segment of the Silk Road, a realm where the laws of the desert and the plains are superseded by the laws of the mountain. Here, the earth rises so high that it seems to pierce the very fabric of the heavens, and the air becomes so thin and pure that every breath feels like a draught of liquid ice. As the caravan begins the ascent, the heavy, two-humped Bactrian camels, who were the masters of the singing sands, begin to show the strain. Their breath comes in ragged white plumes, and their wide, soft feet struggle to find purchase on the slick, frozen shale of the mountain trails. Here, we increasingly rely on a different companion, the yak. These are the true titans of the high passes, massive creatures with thick, matted coats of black hair that sweep the ground, and great, curved horns that look like polished obsidian. They move with a deliberate, slow-motion grace, their hooves clattering sharply against the rock. Listen to the sound of the yak bells, not the high, musical jangle of the camel brass, but a deep, resonant clonk, a somber and grinding tone that cuts through the thin mountain air. It is a sound of endurance, a rhythmic pulse that tells you as long as the bell is moving, life is persisting in this vertical wilderness. The trail we follow is often no more than a hand's breadth wider than the animals themselves, a precarious ledge carved into the face of a 1,000-foot precipice. To your right, the mountain wall rises up, a blur of grey stone and blue-tinted ice. To your left, there is nothing but the void. You learn to look not at the drop, but at the heels of the animal in front of you. The world has narrowed significantly. It is no longer about the miles crossed, but about the inches gained. The weighty of the journey has moved from the legs to the lungs. In this altitude, the air is a different substance entirely. It is stripped of all moisture, all dust, and all the familiar scents of the lower world. It smells of nothing but cold stone and ancient, pressurized snow. Because there is so little oxygen, your heart beats with a frantic, echoing thud against your ribs, a constant reminder of the effort required just to exist at this height. Your thoughts become slow and crystalline, focused entirely on the mechanics of the climb. Every step is a negotiation with gravity. You find yourself moving in a state of semi-trance, the rhythmic-y clonk-clonky of the yak bells acting as a metronome for your soul. As we climb higher, we enter the realm of the eternal snows. Even in the height of summer, the glacier here are thousands of feet thick, ancient rivers of ice that move with a patience that dwarfs human history. The light at this altitude is blindingly bright, reflected off the white slopes with a ferocity that can sear the eyes. Travelers here wear goggles made of horsehair or thin slats of wood with narrow slits to protect against their snow blindness. Through these slits, the world is transformed into a high-contrast masterpiece of shadow and light. The sky above is no longer the pale blue of the plains. It is a deep, startling indigo, a color so dark it almost suggests the blackness of outer space. Reach out and touch the rock as you pass. It is unimaginably cold, a dry, stinging chill that bites through your woolen gloves. This is the bedrock of the continent, the ancient granite that has been pushed upward by the slow, tectonic dance of the earth. It feels solid in a way that the desert sands never did. It is a landscape of permanence, a place where time is measured in the erosion of peaks rather than the passing of days. Occasionally, the trail opens up into a high mountain plateau, a wide, flat valley of frozen turf and alpine grasses that have turned a hardy, golden brown. These are the resting places of the high world. Here, the wind howls with a renewed fury, unhindered by the peaks. It is a relentless, scouring wind that tastes of ice and salt. In these valleys, you might see the scattered skeletons of horses and camels from caravans past, bleached white by the sun and polished by the wind, serving as grim milestones of the difficulty of the pass. But it is the view from the summit of the passes that truly takes the breath away. Imagine standing at the crest of the Wakchu Pass, 16,000 feet above the level of the sea. You are standing on the spine of the world. Look back toward the east, toward the direction of Chang'an. The vast Taklamakan Desert and the Gansu Corridor, which seemed so immense when we were within them, and now nothing more than a hazy, golden smudge on the floor of the world. The great rivers are silver threads. The forests are patches of moss. You are looking down upon the geography of empires as if you were a god. To the west, the mountains tumble down toward the Oxus River and the plains of Bactria, a jagged sea of white-capped waves that seems to go on forever. This is the peak of the Silk Road experience, the moment of greatest isolation and greatest clarity. At this height, the petty concerns of trade and profit feel absurd. You are not a merchant or a traveler. You are a witness to the raw power of the planet. The silence up here is not like the silence of the desert. The desert silence was an absence of life, but the mountain silence is a presence of power. It is the silence of things that are too large to need sound. The only break in the quiet is the occasional, distant thunder of an avalanche, a low, rumbling growl that vibrates in the soles of your feet, or the sharp, cracking sound of a glacier shifting in its bed. The night camp on the roof of the world is an exercise in survival. There is no wood here to burn, no shrubs to gather. We rely on the dried dung of the yaks, which burns with a slow, smouldering heat and a pungent, earthy smoke. The fire is small and precious, huddled in a circle of stones to protect it from the gale. We sit shoulder to shoulder with the animals, drawing warmth from their massive, woolly bodies. The yaks are unfazed by the cold. They settle into the snow as if it were a bed of down, their breath frosting their muzzles until they look like creatures made of ice. Look up at the stars from this height. Without the interference of the lower atmosphere, the stars do not just shine, they flare. They are so bright and so numerous that the constellations you knew in the east are lost in a sea of light. The planets glow with a steady, unblinking intensity, Mars a fierce red, Venus a brilliant, piercing white. You feel as though the caravan is no longer traveling on the earth, but is navigating the celestial spheres themselves. The Milky Way is so thick and luminous, it looks like a road of crushed pearls leading directly into the west. There is a strange, light-headed peace that comes with the altitude. The lack of oxygen creates a state of mild euphoria, a shedding of the ego. You feel a profound connection to the travelers who came before you, the monks like Xuanzang who climbed these passes in search of sacred wisdom, the soldiers of Alexander the Great who marveled at these mountains of the sun. You are part of a thin, resilient chain of humanity that has dared to cross this frozen bridge. The descent is as grueling as the climb. The knees ache, the pack straps chafe, and the air grows thicker and heavier with every 1,000 feet of loss. You can feel the life returning to your senses. First, the smell of damp earth as the snow line recedes. Then, the sound of rushing water as the glacial melt forms the headwaters of the great rivers. Finally, the sight of the first stunted trees, gnarled junipers clinging to the cliffs like desperate hands. But as we leave the high Pamirs behind, you carry a piece of the Rufi within you. You have seen the world from above the clouds. You have heard the somber music of the yak bells in the thin, holy air. You have survived the spine of the continent. The descent leads us toward the lush valleys of the Fergana and the blue domes of Samarkand, where the air will be sweet with the scent of fruit and the markets will hum with life. But for the rest of your days, the silence of the high peaks will remain the benchmark of your soul. Tonight, as the small dung fire fades into the grey of the mountain twilight, let the rhythm of the descent settle into your bones. The yaks are quiet, their bells stilled for the night. The peaks above are glowing with the alpenglow, a fleeting, ethereal pink that marks the sun's final touch on the highest points of the earth. You are descending back into the world of men, but you are bringing the perspective of the gods with you. Breathe in the sharpening cold of the mountain night. Feel the incredible, vertical silence. You are safe in the lap of the giants. The roof of the world is your ceiling, and the stars are your lamps. Sleep now, while the glaciers sleep. Sleep now, while the peaks hold back the wind. The journey continues, moving down from the heavens and back toward the heart of the west. The road is steep, but the path is sure, and the blue cities are waiting in the valley below. The vertical world of the Pamirs has finally released its grip, and the frozen silence of the high passes has surrendered to a symphony of life. We are descending into the Zarafshan Valley, a name that means the spreader of gold, and before us, emerging from the shimmering heat of the Central Asian steppe like a mirage made of sapphire and turquoise, stands the city of Samarkand. This is the jewel of the Silk Road, the Rome of the East, a city so ancient and so central to the movement of humanity that it is said to have been founded at the very moment the world began to turn. After the months of dust, the weeks of ice, and the constant, gnawing hunger of the high desert, Samarkand is not just a destination, it is a resurrection. As the caravan approaches the city walls, the first thing that strikes you is the color. In the east, we soar the yellow rammed earth of the Great Wall, In the mountains, we soar the grey of granite and the white of glacier. But Samarkand is a city of blue. Even from miles away, the massive ribbed domes of the mosques and madrasas catch the sunlight, reflecting 1,000 shades of azure, cobalt, and peacock tail. These are the tiles that have made the city legend. Tiles glazed with ground lapis lazuli and cobalt, fired in kilns until they resemble the sky itself. As you draw closer, the geometric patterns become visible, intricate labyrinths of stars and flowers, woven together with the flowing, elegant lines of Kufic calligraphy that proclaim the greatness of the divine. The city looks as if it has been draped in a mantle of silk that will never fade. The air here is a revelation. In the high passes, the air was thin and sterile, smelling of nothing but cold stone. But as we pass through the garden suburbs that surround Samarkand, the atmosphere becomes heavy and sweet. This is a city of water. You can hear the constant, musical gurgle of the Araks, the ancient irrigation canals that channel the snowmelt from the mountains into every courtyard and orchard. Because of this water, the desert has been forced back. We are riding through a paradise of apricot trees, pomegranate groves, and sprawling vineyards where the grapes hang like heavy purple jewels. The scent of damp earth and ripening fruit is so intense it feels like a physical embrace. But the most iconic scent of Samarkand, the one that every Silk Road traveler carries in their memory forever, is the scent of the Bazaar. As we pass through the city gates and enter the bustling core of the city, the aroma of fresh naan begins to dominate. This is the famous Samarkand flatbread, baked in clay tandoor ovens. You can see the bakers at work, slapping the rounds of dough against the glowing walls of the pits. The bread comes out golden and steaming, topped with black nigella seeds, smelling of yeast, fire, and home. It is a scent that speaks of stability, of a world where the search for food is no longer a desperate struggle. Along with the bread comes the scent of the melons, the legendary melons of Central Asia that were once packed in lead boxes filled with ice to be sent to the emperors of China. They are sliced open in the stalls, their honeyed, floral perfume mixing with the sharp, savory smell of roasting lamb skewers and the earthy, pungent aroma of 100 different spices. The noise of Samarkand is the noise of the world meeting itself. In the Registan, the great central square, the jangle of our camel bells is lost in a sea of voices. Here, the weighty of the journey is replaced by the vibration of the exchange. You hear the guttural tones of the Turkic nomads, the liquid flow of Persian poetry, the sharp consonants of the Chinese merchants, and the rhythmic chanting of the students in the madrasas. It is a city where no one is a stranger because everyone is a traveler. You see Greek physicians discussing medicine with Indian scholars. You see Sogdian bankers counting gold dinars alongside Phoenician traders. This is the ultimate crossroads, the place where the ideas of the East and the West are hammered out on the anvil of trade. As you walk through the shaded corridors of the bazaar, the sensory detail is overwhelming. You touch the carpets of Bukhara, thick, woolen masterpieces of deep red and black that feel like walking on a cloud. You see the golden peaches of Samarkand, the carved jade of Khotan, and the shimmering glassware from the Mediterranean. But it is not just the goods, it is the craftsmanship. You see the paper makers of Samarkand, who have taken the secret of papermaking from Chinese captives and refined it using mulberry bark and silk scraps to create a writing surface so smooth and durable it is sought after by the caliphs of Baghdad. You feel the raw paper of Samarkand between your fingers. It is crisp, cool, and holds the promise of eternal memory. The city is a testament to the power of the oasis. In the desert, life was a fragile spark that could be snuffed out by a single sandstorm. But here, life is defiant. The architecture of Samarkand is designed to lure the traveler into submission. The arches are so wide they seem to span the horizon. The minarets are so tall they seem to be the pillars that hold up the stars. As you stand in the shadow of a great portal, the scale of the stonework makes you feel like an ant, yet the intricate beauty of the floral tilework makes you feel like a guest in a private garden. It is a balance of the monumental and the intimate. The weighty of the road begins to lift from your shoulders as you settle into a local caravanserai, one that is far more luxurious than the mud brick outposts of the Gobi. Here, the floors are covered in thick rugs, the walls are hung with embroidered tapestries, and the central courtyard is cooled by a fountain that sprays a fine mist into the air. You sit on a low divan, your legs finally at rest, and a servant brings you a bowl of green tea and a plate of dried figs and walnuts. The transition from the saddle to the silk cushions is almost disorienting. Your body still feels the phantom sway of the camel, the thumping of the bells still echoing in your inner ear, but your surroundings demand a new kind of presence. You are no longer surviving. You are living. Take a moment to observe the people around you in the courtyard. In Samarkand, the clothing is a riot of texture and color. You see the ikat silks, fabrics where the threads were dyed before being woven, creating blurred, vibrating patterns of yellow, red, and blue that look like flames or water. You see the heavy brocades of the nobility, the simple linen of the scholars, and the rugged furs of the mountain men who have brought down medicinal herbs and musk to trade. This is the human Silk Road, a living river of culture that has been flowing through these streets for over 2,000 years. As the sun begins to set, Samarkand undergoes its most magical transformation. The blue domes, which were so bright during the day, now begin to glow with a soft, inner light as they catch the orange and gold of the twilight. The sky turns a deep, royal purple, and the first stars begin to appear over the minarets. This is not the lonely, terrifying sky of the Taklamakan. This is a sky that feels like a canopy over a home. The sound of the azan, the call to prayer, rises from a dozen different directions at once, a haunting, melodic cry that floats over the rooftops, weaving together with the evening chatter of the market and the distant braying of donkeys. The night in Samarkand is not silent, but it is peaceful. It is the sound of a city settling into its dreams. You hear the rhythmic clacking of the looms in the weaver's quarter, the low murmur of storytellers in the tea houses, and the soft splashing of the water in the canals. The air cools, but it retains the scent of the day, the lingering aroma of spices and the sweet breath of the orchards. You pull a light silk coverlet over you, feeling the incredible, refined softness of the fabric against your weathered skin. It is a reminder of why we have traveled so far. In the darkness of your room, your mind begins to process the journey. You have come halfway across the world. Behind you lie the gates of China and the roof of the world. Ahead lie the deserts of Persia and the shores of the Mediterranean. But for tonight, the road does not matter. You are in the cradle of the sun. Samarkand has absorbed you, just as it has absorbed every traveler since the time of Alexander. It has given you water for your thirst, shade for your heat, and beauty for your soul. Think of the history that has flowed through these streets. You are sleeping in a place where kings have been crowned and poets have been inspired. You are part of the continuity of the Silk Road, a link in a chain that spans generations. The blue tiles above you are not just decoration. They are a prayer for permanence in a world of shifting sands. They are a statement that humanity can build something beautiful and lasting even in the heart of the wilderness. As you drift toward sleep, let the flavors of the city linger on your tongue. The sweetness of the melon, the salt of the bread, the bitterness of the tea. Let the colors of the city fill your vision. The lapis lazuli of the domes, the emerald of the gardens, the gold of the dust. The rhythm of the caravan is still there, beneath the surface, but it has been softened by the luxury of the oasis. You are no longer a grain of sand. You are a guest in the palace of the world. The city of Samarkand is breathing with you. The canals are flowing, the trees are rustling, and the blue domes are standing watch under the stars. There is no desert tonight. There are no mountains. There is only the cool, scented peace of the garden. You have found the center of the world, and the center is a place of rest. Breathe in the evening air, fragrant with jasmine and wood smoke. Feel the incredible, solid comfort of the city around you. The Silk Road is a long and weary path, but it leads to places of wonder. Samarkand is the reward for the struggle. It is the dream that kept you moving through the singing sands and the frozen parses. And now, the dream is real. Sleep now, traveler, while the water gurgles in the arix. Sleep now, while the blue tiles reflect the moon. The journey is far from over, and the deserts of the west are waiting. But for tonight, you are in the jewel of the Silk Road. You are safe, you are fed, and you are home. The road will return tomorrow, but tonight there is only Samarkand. The morning light in the markets of the West begins not with the sun, but with the sound of the world's tongues entangling. To step into the heart of the Bazaar is to enter a living library of human desire, a place where the language of the Bazaar is spoken in every gesture, every clink of a coin, and every unrolling of a bale. Here, we are no longer looking at the landscape, we are looking at the cargo. The Silk Road was never just a path for fabric, it was a neural pathway for the planet, a bridge across which the most transformative inventions of the East migrated toward the West, and the secret philosophies of the West traveled back toward the East. As you stand in the center of the market, surrounded by the scent of cedarwood and dried coriander, you are standing at the primary source of global change. Observe the first of the great invisible goods, the tea. In the East, we saw the compressed bricks of tea, stamped with the seals of provincial governors, stacked high on the backs of hardy mules. Here in the central markets, those bricks are broken apart, and the dried, dark leaves are treated like precious gems. You see a merchant from the high steps trading a heavy silver bracelet for a handful of these leaves. Why? Because tea is more than a drink. It is a medicine, a social bond, and a miracle of preservation. The scent of the dry leaves is earthy and deep, like the floor of an ancient forest. When brewed in the heavy iron kettles of the Bazaar, it releases an aroma that is both bitter and sweet, a smoke-edged fragrance that clears the mind and warms the spirit. It is the fuel of the Silk Road, the liquid that allowed the monks to stay awake during their meditations and the merchants to stay alert during their long night marches. Next to the tea merchants, you find the stalls of the stationers, and here lies perhaps the most revolutionary cargo of all: paper. For centuries, the West wrote on heavy parchment made of animal skins or fragile papyrus that cracked in the heat. But here, in the shadows of the Samarkand domes, you see the arrival of the white sheets of the East. Reach out and touch a stack of Samarkand paper. It is made from the fibers of the mulberry tree and recycled silk rags, beaten and pressed into a surface that is as smooth as ivory and as flexible as cloth. It is cool and crisp between your fingers. This is the substance that will allow the world's knowledge to travel. Because of this paper, a mathematical formula discovered in India can be copied and sent to a library in Baghdad. A poem written in Chang'an can be read by a scholar in Isfahan. Paper was the invisible as silk, a carrier of light that weighed almost nothing but changed the weight of human history forever. Listen to the low, cautious murmurs near the metalworkers' stalls. Here, tucked away in small, lead-lined jars, is a powder that smells of sulfur and old earth. The travelers call it a fire drug or black sand. It is gunpowder. At this stage of the road, it is not yet a weapon of war. It is a curiosity, a tool for the alchemists to create a thunderflashes and colourful displays for the courts of kings. It has a sharp, acrid smell that lingers at the back of the throat, a scent of dormant power. It is a reminder that the Silk Road did not just bring beauty and comfort, it brought the tools of transformation, for better or for worse. But as you wander deeper into the shaded alleys of the market, you begin to encounter the invisible goods, the ones that don't weigh down the camels, yet possess the greatest momentum. These are the ideas. Look at the men sitting in the corners of the tea houses, their heads bowed together in intense discussion. They are not talking about the price of jade, they are talking about the nature of the soul. You see a Buddhist monk in his saffron robes showing a wooden mandala to a Nestorian Christian priest. You see a Manichaean scribe debating the struggle between light and dark with a Zoroastrian fire priest. The Silk Road was the world's first great laboratory of religion. Every caravan was a temple on the move. When the merchants traveled, they brought their gods in their pockets and their prayers on their tongues. You can hear it in their language of the Bazaar, a mixture of Sanskrit, Greek, Persian, and Chinese, all striving to describe the same infinite mysteries. This was the invisible trade, the migration of stories. A parable told in a village in the Ganges Valley would be picked up by a traveler, translated into Sogdian, and told again months later in a caravanserai in the Persian highlands, eventually becoming a folk tale in the markets of the Mediterranean. Feel the vibration of this exchange. It is a constant, low-level hum of intellectual curiosity. The Silk Road was a place where people learned that their way of life was not the only way of life. They saw different ways of dressing, different ways of eating, and different ways of calculating the stars. This is the trade of a perspective. When you see a merchant from the Roman West staring in awe at a mechanical water clock from the East, or a Chinese scholar marveling at the mathematical precision of a Greek astrolabe, you are seeing the birth of the modern world. The language of the Bazaar is also a language of trust. Because there were no banks and no international laws, the entire multi-billion-dollar trade of the Silk Road relied on the invisible bond of the word. A merchant's reputation was his most valuable cargo. You see the signing of a letters of credit on small scraps of that new Samarkand paper, documents that allow a man to deposit gold in the East and withdraw it in the West, based entirely on the seal of a merchant guild and the honor of a name. This was the invention of global finance, born out of the necessity of the long, dangerous road. Observe the subtle details of the trade. You see the invisible movement of plants, the seeds of the grape moving east, the seeds of the peach moving west. You see the movement of music, the pear-shaped peeper of the tang court evolving from the Persian barbat. You hear the sound of a stringed instrument being played in a shaded courtyard. It is a melody that feels familiar to everyone in the market, a song that has been polished by the journey across a dozen borders until it belongs to no one and everyone. The bazaar is a place of intense sensory contrast. The invisible is loud and colorful, the shimmering piles of saffron that turn the air a dusty orange, the stacks of blue and white porcelain that clink like ice, the heavy, oily smell of raw wool and the sharp, clean scent of sandalwood. But the invisible is quiet and profound, the shifting of a belief, the spark of a new invention, the quiet realization that the person across the table, despite their strange clothing and different prayers, is driven by the same hopes and fears as you. As the afternoon sun begins to throw long, golden slats of light through the timbered roof of the bazaar, the frantic pace of the trade begins to soften. The big deals have been struck. The camels have been loaded for the next leg of the journey. This is the time when the invisible goods truly shine. This is the time for the storytellers. You see people gathering around an old man sitting on a colorful rug. He is not selling anything you can touch. He is selling a story, a tale of a king who turned to stone, or a fox that became a woman. As his voice rises and falls, the crowd leans in. For a few moments, the trade of silk and spice is forgotten. The invisible cargo of the imagination takes flight. This is the true legacy of the Silk Road. The silk eventually frays and fades. The tea is consumed. The paper rots. The gunpowder is spent. But the ideas, the invisible goods, are indestructible. They are the seeds that were planted in the minds of travelers and carried back to their home cities, where they grew into new philosophies, new sciences, and new ways of seeing the universe. You are a carrier of this cargo. Whether you realize it or not, the things you have seen on this road, the way the sun hits the blue domes, the sound of the yak bells, the taste of the salt tea, have changed you. You are bringing a different version of yourself to the West than the one that left the East. The language of the bazaar is the language of human connection. It is the proof that even across the most formidable deserts and the highest mountains, the human spirit will always find a way to reach out, to trade, and to share. We are a species of travelers. and the Silk Road was our greatest journey. It was the place where we learned that the world is large, but not so large that we cannot speak to one another. As you prepare to leave the market and rejoin the caravan, take one last breath of the Bazaar air. It is a scent that contains the entire world. It is the smell of a million stories, a million inventions, and a million dreams, all crushed together in the heat of the afternoon. It is a scent that stays with you, a reminder that you are part of a grand, invisible exchange that began long before you were born and will continue long after you are gone. The merchants are closing their stalls. The heavy iron locks are clicking shut. The invisible goods are being tucked away for the night, protected by stone walls and armed guards. But the invisible goods are already on the move. They are traveling in the minds of the people who are walking out the city gates. They are moving west toward the Persian highlands and the Mediterranean sun. They are moving at the speed of thought, unburdened by the weight of the camels, crossing borders without passports, and changing the world as they go. The bazaar is growing quiet now. The dust is settling. The real language is falling into a whisper. But in the silence, you can still hear the vibration of the exchange. You can still feel the momentum of the ideas. You are part of the trade. You are a link in the chain. You are the carrier of the invisible cargo. Let the rhythm of the market's rest settle into your mind. The clink of the coins has been replaced by the clink of the evening teacups. The haggling has been replaced by the low, steady breathing of the city. Everything is in its place. The world has been traded, and the world is at peace. Breathe in the lingering scent of the spices and the paper. Feel the incredible, vibrant weight of the history around you. You are resting in the heart of the great exchange. The Silk Road is not just a road, it is a conversation that never ends. And tonight, you are invited to listen to the silence that follows the talk. Sleep now, traveler, while the invisible goods find their way into your dreams. Sleep now, while the ideas take root. The journey is long, but the cargo is precious. The road will be there in the morning, ready for the next trade, the next story, and the next step toward the western sun. The bazaar is closed, but the world is open. Sleep in the heart of the language of the bazaar. The transition from the lush, water-fed gardens of Transoxiana to the high, arid plateaus of Persia is a transition of light and geometry. We have crossed the Oasis and moved into the heart of the Iranian plateau, a landscape of salt flats, rugged mountain ribs, and sky. Here, the world feels older, more refined, and deeply contemplative. The gait of the road has shifted again. It is no longer the struggle of the desert or the vertical climb of the Pamirs, but a journey through a land that has mastered the art of living in the void. In Persia, the Silk Road is not just a route for goods, but a pathway through a civilization that turned the desert into a poem written in brick and turquoise. As the caravan moves across the high plains, the first thing you notice is the incredible clarity of the air. It is a dry, thin atmosphere that makes distant mountains look as though they are carved from amethyst, appearing closer than they truly are. The landscape is a palette of ochre, burnt sienna, and dusty rose, broken only by the occasional flash of green that signals a qanat, the miraculous underground aqueducts of Persia. For thousands of years, the Persians have tunneled deep into the mountain aquifers, creating miles of subterranean channels that bring life-giving water to the parched plains without losing a single drop to evaporation. You can follow their path by looking for the string of pearls, the circular mounds of earth marking the maintenance shafts that stretch across the desert like a giant's necklace. As we approach the desert cities of Yazd or Isfahan, the skyline presents a sight found nowhere else on the Silk Road: the badgers, or wind catchers. These are the ancient air conditioners of the East, tall, elegant towers of brick that rise above the flat roofs of the houses like slender fingers reaching for the breeze. They are architectural masterpieces of fluid dynamics. Imagine standing beneath one of these towers in the heat of the afternoon. The tower. The tower catches the slightest movement of air high above the city, draws it down through chilled, damp shafts, and pushes it into the living quarters below. Even when the outside world is a furnace of 100 degrees, the air inside a Persian home remains as cool and fresh as a mountain cave. It is a silent, beautiful technology, a testament to a people who did not fight the desert, but understood its breath. The scent of the Persian night begins with a harvest. As we move into the markets, the air is thick with the most expensive fragrance on earth, saffron. We have reached the land of the crocus sativus. In the early morning hours, before the sun can bruise the delicate petals, the flowers are harvested, and the tiny, crimson threads of the stigmas are plucked by hand. It takes a sea of flowers to produce a handful of the spice. The aroma is intoxicating, a mixture of honey, metallic hay, and damp earth. When it is infused into the evening rice or the morning tea, it turns the world a vivid, sun-like yellow and fills the room with a scent that is both floral and medicinal. It is the scent of the Persian sun, captured and dried for the journey west. Listen to the sounds of the Persian caravanserai. Unlike the rugged mud brick outposts of the Gobi, these are often majestic structures of fired brick and intricate tilework. They are designed with a profound sense of symmetry, the char-herbar, or fourfold garden, mirrored in the layout of the courtyard. In the center, there's always water. Not just a well, but a pool of still, blue water that reflects the stars. The sound of the camels settling here is muffled by the architecture. The high, vaulted ceilings of the rooms create an echo that makes the low murmur of Persian conversations sound like a rhythmic chant. This is the land where the real language of the bazaar turns into the real language of the heart. Persia is the realm of the poet. As the caravan rests, you often find a local scholar or a merchant reciting the verses of Ferdowsi, Rumi, or Khayyam. Even if you do not understand the words, the music of the Persian tongue, the Farsi, is unmistakable. It is a language of soft vowels and flowing consonants, a liquid sound that seems to mimic the flow of the qanats. The poetry here is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the way the Persian people explain the desert, the stars, and the fleeting nature of life. You hear the stories of the rose and the nightingale, and metaphors for the seeker and the divine, and you realize that on this plateau, the internal journey is just as important as the external one. The Oasis of the Persian night is one of immense sophistication. You see the intricate metalwork, vessels of silver and bronze engraved with scenes of hunting and feasting, so detailed that you can see the individual muscles of the horses. You see the carpets of Isfahan and Kashan, woven with a density of knots that makes the patterns look like paintings. These carpets are not just floor coverings, they are gardens that you can carry with you across the desert. When a merchant unrolls a Persian rug in the middle of a barren plain, he is recreating the order and beauty of a palace. The desert night in Persia is a study in shadow. Because the architecture is designed to manage the sun, the cities are a labyrinth of deep, cool alleys and vaulted parsargers. In the moonlight, the pale bricks of the domes glow with a ghostly, translucent light. The turquoise tiles, so vibrant during the day, turn into a deep, mysterious green. You feel as though you are walking through a city made of dreams. The wind catchers stand silent against the indigo sky, their vents open to catch the night air, which now smells of dry dust and jasmine. The transition of your own spirit here is profound. The Persian plateau is a place of high elevation and wide horizons, but it is also a place of inwardness. The homes are built around central courtyards, hidden from the street by high, windowless walls. The beauty is kept on the inside. It is a culture that values the secret garden of the mind. As you sit by the pool in the caravanserai, looking at the reflection of the moon, your thoughts turn away from the logistics of the road. You begin to think about the poetry of your own journey. Why have you traveled so far? What are you seeking at the end of the silk? Feel the texture of the Persian evening. You are wearing a robe of fine, lightweight wool, dyed with the deep blue of the indigo plant. The air is cool, but not biting. The chill of the Persian night is a refreshing contrast to the sun-baked stones of the day. You are eating a piece of flatbread dipped in a sauce of pomegranate and walnuts, a fasenjan, a taste that is simultaneously tart and rich, a perfect balance of opposites. This is the hallmark of the Persian soul, the balance of the garden and the desert, the light and the shadow, the word and the silence. As the night deepens, the caravan settles into a state of meditative rest. The camels are quiet, their long necks resting on the cool earth. The thumping of the bells is a memory. The only sound is the occasional rustle of the wind through the slats of the badger and the soft, repetitive splash of the fountain. The stars over the Iranian plateau are huge and steady. They look like the jewels on a king's robe, scattered across the velvet of the night. Think of the invisible trade that happened here. Persia was the great filter of the Silk Road. It took the wisdom of India and China, the mathematics of the Greeks, and the lore of the Romans, and wove them into a new, brilliant synthesis. It was here that the West truly began to understand the East, and the East began to understand the West. The Persian night is the bridge between the two. It is a place of pause, a place of reflection, and a place of immense, quiet beauty. As you prepare for sleep, let the rhythm of the Persian verse echo in your mind. Life is a caravan that moves for a night and is gone by morning. The desert remains, but the beauty we create, the wind catchers, the poems, the saffron-scented rice, is our way of speaking to the eternal. You are a part of that conversation. You are a traveler in the land of the poets, and tonight, the desert is your home. The embers of the juniper fire are glowing like small rubies in the dark. The scent of the saffron tea lingers in the air, a golden memory of the day's trade. The city of the windcatchers is breathing with you, drawing in the cool night air and exhaling the heat of the past. You are safe in the heart of the plateau. The road to the west is still long, crossing the Zagros Mountains and the plains of Mesopotamia, but that is for tomorrow. Tonight, there is only the silence of the dome and the reflection in the pool. There is only the poetry of the desert and the scent of the Persian night. Let your body sink into the thick wool of the carpet. Let your mind drift like the smoke from the incense burner. You are in the land of light and geometry, and the world is in perfect balance. Breathe in the jasmine-scented stillness. Feel the incredible, ancient peace of the Iranian earth. The Silk Road has brought you to the high heart of the West, and the heart is full of stars. Sleep now, traveler, while the windcatchers breathe for the city. Sleep now, while the poets dream. To understand the Silk Road, one must eventually look past the silk, past the gold, and past the cities, and look instead into the large, liquid eye of the creature that made it all possible. We have reached the heart of the journey, a place not defined by geography, but by the physical reality of the Great Camel Walk. This is the rhythmic, biological engine of the caravan. It is a world measured in the swing of a hump, the splay of a padded foot, and the ancient, unspoken contract between the traveler and the beast. Without the camel, the Silk Road would be nothing more than a series of disconnected oases, separated by death. With the camel, the desert becomes a bridge. Observe the anatomy of our companions, the Bactrian camels. These are not the sleek, single-humped dromedaries of the hot Arab sands, but the heavy-duty titans of Central Asia. They are built for a world of impossible contradictions, a world where the mercury can soar to 100 degrees at noon and plummet to 20 below by midnight. Their bodies are masterpieces of evolutionary engineering. Look at their coats, a thick, shaggy fleece of wool and hair that grows in deep, insulating mats to protect them from the Siberian winds, only to shed in large, ragged blankets when the summer heat returns. This wool is a shield, a temperature regulator that keeps the internal furnace of the animal steady against the external chaos of the climate. Now, consider the humps. There is a common myth among those who have never walked the road that these humps are filled with water. But you, as a traveler, know the truth. They are reservoirs of fat, pure, concentrated energy. When the caravan enters a stretch of the Gobi where the grass has withered and the wells are dry, the camel does not starve. It begins to draw upon these mounds of marrow. As the journey grows harder, the humps lose their firmness, eventually leaning to one side as the energy within is consumed to keep the heart beating and the legs moving. A camel with tall, upright humps is a promise of a safe journey. A camel with sagging humps is a testament to the road's toll. The weighty of the camel walk is felt most in the feet. Unlike the horse, whose iron-shod hooves clatter and strike against the earth, the camel moves in near silence. Their feet are wide, fleshy pads that spread out upon impact, acting like natural snowshoes that prevent them from sinking into the fine, powdery sand of the dunes or the soft crust of the salt flats. There is a specific, muffled sound to 1,000 camels walking, a soft, rhythmic thump that vibrates through the ground. It is a sound that settles into your own gait, a low-frequency pulse that tells you the caravan is healthy. The pace of the walk is the pace of the Silk Road itself. It is a deliberate, unhurried for miles per hour. This is the Great Caravan constant. To go faster would be to exhaust the animals and the men. To go slower would be to risk running out of water between the waypoints. It is a movement of incredible efficiency. The camel's legs on one side move forward together, creating a swaying, ship-like motion. The ship of the desert is not a poetic metaphor, but a literal description of the rolling, side-to-side gait that the rider must learn to absorb with their own spine. Imagine the bond that forms in this rhythmic world. The camel puller does not see his lead animal as a tool, but as a partner. He knows the specific tilt of its head when it catches the scent of water 3 miles away. He knows the low, guttural grumble it makes when a packstrap is rubbing against a sore. He spends his evenings cleaning the grit from the animal's nostrils and checking the crevices of its pads for sharp stones or thorns. There is a language of touch here, the way a hand rests on the warm, woolly neck during a sandstorm, or the way a puller speaks in low, rhythmic murmurs to calm a nervous yearling. The camel, in return, offers a stoic, unwavering loyalty. It will walk until its heart stops, moving through pain and thirst that would kill a human in hours. The intelligency of the caravan is a collective thing. The lead camel is chosen not just for strength, but for memory. These animals possess an uncanny map of the world held within their minds. They remember the location of a hidden spring from 5 years prior. They recognize the subtle change in the wind that precedes a reburinous sandstorm. When the visibility drops to zero and the horizon vanishes in a wall of yellow dust, the men often drop the lead ropes and trust the instincts of the beast. The camel does not look for landmarks. It feels the slope of the land and the density of the air. It follows a path that is invisible to the human eye but carved into its very blood. Listen to the sounds of the walk. There is the constant, melodic jangle of the bells, each with a different tone so that the puller can identify his animals in the dark. There is the rhythmic creak of the wooden saddles and the sigh of the leather cinches. And then, there is the breathing. The camel's breath is a deep, resonant huff, a slow and steady inhalation that speaks of a massive lung capacity. They can close their nostrils completely to keep out the dust, a feat of biological magic that allows them to breathe while the men around them are choking on the air. The wasty of the camel is also a gift to the road. Their dung is dry and fibrous, containing the concentrated essence of the tough desert shrubs they consume. In a landscape where there are no trees, this dung is the only fuel. It burns with a hot, steady flame and very little smoke, providing the warmth for the evening tea and the heat to bake the morning bread. The camel provides the transport, the clothing from its shed hair, and the very fire that sustains the traveler's life. It is a closed loop of survival. Feel the physical toll of the walk on your own body. Your muscles have learned their sway. Your hips have loosened to match the animal's stride. You no longer fight the movement. You flow with it. There is a point in the middle of a long day's march where the self disappears. You are no longer an individual with a name and a destination. You are simply a part of the rhythm. You are the thump of the foot, the ring of the bell, and the long, slow shadow stretching across the gravel. This is the Zen of the road, a state of moving meditation where the miles are not conquered, but inhabited. The camel's endurance is legendary, but it is not infinite. You see the signs of their great walk in the way they drink when they finally reach an oasis. A thirsty camel can drink 30 gallons of water in mere minutes, their bodies visibly expanding as the parched cells soak up the moisture. They are the only creatures that can drink the bitter, brackish water of the salt lakes that would poison a horse or a man. They process the salt and the minerals, filtering the world through their prehistoric systems and turning the bitterness into the strength to walk another 100 miles. The night in the camel circle is a place of profound intimacy. As we camp, the animals are hog-tied and settle into the dust. They radiate a massive, furnace-like heat. In the chill of the high plateau, the travelers huddle against the camel's flanks, using their shaggy bodies as living walls against the wind. You can hear the rhythmic, wet grinding of their teeth as they chew their cud, a sound of total contentment. In these moments, the barrier between man and beast dissolves. You are two species, united by a single path, sharing the same air and the same stars. Think of the evolutionary contract of the Silk Road. The humans provide the water and the protection from predators. The camels provide the bridge across the impossible. It is a symmetry that has lasted for millennia. The silk that reaches the markets of the West is saturated with the scent of camel musk. The jade of the East has been polished by the vibration of the camel's gait. The history of our species is inextricably linked to the biology of theirs. As the sun sets, the great camel walk it takes on a cinematic quality. The long shadows of the humps create a rhythmic, undulating pattern on the sand, like a moving mountain range. The bells take on a somber, evening tone. The pace does not change. The camel does not rush for the end of the day, it simply continues. It is a lesson in persistence. The road is not won by the fast, but by the steady. Tonight, as you lie near the lead camel, listen to its heart. It is a slow, powerful beat, the drum of the Silk Road. The animal's large, dark eyes reflect the dying fire and the rising stars. There is an ancient wisdom in that gaze, a look of profound patience that has seen empires rise and fall while the walk continues. The camel knows the road better than any map maker. It knows that the desert is not an enemy, but a home. Breathe in the scent of the dry wool and the dust. Feel the incredible, rhythmic stillness of the sleeping caravan. The great camel walk has paused for the night, but the momentum is still there, stored in the humps and the muscles of the beasts. Tomorrow, the first bell will ring, the heavy bodies will rise from the dust with a groan, and the 4-mile-per-hour journey toward the west will resume. Sleep now, traveller, while the ship of the desert is at anchor. Sleep now, while the bells are silent. You are safe in the circle of the giants. The road is long, the sand is deep, and the mountains are high, but the camel is steady. The walk is the way, and the way is the walk. Sleep in the heart of the Great Caravan. The air has changed. For months, the atmosphere has been defined by the scent of dry dust, the musk of camels, and the thin, sterile cold of high altitudes. But as we descend from the rugged heights of the Taurus Mountains and move through the lush valleys of northern Syria, a new sensation meets the skin. It is a heaviness, a moisture, and a sharp, crystalline tang that stings the nostrils and cools the brow. It is the scent of the sea. After thousands of miles of continental isolation, the horizon is no longer a jagged line of granite or a shimmering wave of heat over sand. It is a flat, infinite expanse of cobalt. We have reached the Roman horizon. We have reached Antioch on the Orontes, the gateway to the Mediterranean, and for the silk we carry, the long overland trek is finally at its end. Antioch is a city of marble and water, a staggering contrast to the mud brick and timber outposts of the east. As the caravan wins its way toward the city gates, the weight of the journey feels different. The isolation of the desert is replaced by the overwhelming density of the Roman world. You see the paved roads, straight, limestone arteries that hum with the traffic of a continent. You see the colonnaded streets that stretch for miles, providing shade for citizens in white linen togas and soldiers in polished bronze cuirasses. The sound of the world here is not the jangle of a lone bell, but the roar of a metropolis. It is the sound of thousands of sandals on stone, the shouting of fruit vendors, and the splashing of monumental fountains. Pass through the city of Dorn and feel the transition in your very bones. In the east, the Silk Road was a struggle against nature. Here, it is a celebration of empire. Antioch is where the silk becomes something more than cargo. It becomes a symbol of ultimate power. You see the Roman elite gathering near the Tetrapolon, their eyes searching the approaching packs. For them, the bales of silk we have guarded through sandstorms and mountain passes are the fabric of heaven. They do not see the dust of the Gobi or the blood of the Pamirs. They see a translucent, shimmering mystery that catches the Mediterranean sun and turns it into gold. They see a status so high that even the emperor's lores struggle to contain the desire for it. But before the silk can reach the villas of Rome or the palaces of Byzantium, it must undergo its final transformation, the transition from the hoof to the hull. Follow the caravan as it moves from the city centre down to the port of Seleucia Perea. This is the moment through a great camel walk it truly ends. The camels, those stoic giants of the high plateaus, look out of place here. They stand on the stone quays, their wide, padded feet shifting uncomfortably on the wet, salt-slicked pavement. They smell the sea, a scent they do not understand, and they hear the crying of the gulls and the rhythmic creak of the galleys. The bond is being severed. The lead ropes are handed over, the heavy packs are unstrapped, and for the first time in a year, the camels' backs are bare to the sun. The language of the Bazaar has evolved one last time. In Antioch, the dominant tongue is Greek, the language of trade and philosophy, flavoured with the Latin of the legions and the Aramaic of the local markets. The haggling here is fast and clinical. The Roman officials weigh the silk on brass scales, checking the purity of the weave and the weight of the thread. They are looking for the Reseric equality, the legendary strength and lightness that no Western loom can repel. They are looking for the Reseric equality, the legendary strength and lightness that no Western loom can replicate. You see the gold denarii changing hands, the heavy clink of Roman metal replacing the silver dirhams of Persia. This is the final liquidation of the journey's risk. The merchants who survived the road are now men of immense wealth, their names whispered in the halls of the Senate. Observe the ships waiting in the harbour. These are the Roman grain freighters and the sleek, multi-oared galleys that command the Mare Nostrum, our sea. To eyes that have seen nothing but the rolling dunes of the Taklamakan, these vessels look like strange, wooden leviathans. They are being loaded with the treasures of the East, not just the silk, but the black pepper of India, the cinnamon of Ceylon, and the ginger that has travelled in the same packs as our fabric. The cargo is moved into the dark, cedar-scented holds, packed tightly against the damp salt air. The transition to seafaring is a transition to a new kind of motion. The swaying of the camel is replaced by the pitching of the mast. The path is no longer carved in the earth. It is written in the wind and the stars of the Mediterranean. The scent of Antioch is a dizzying cocktail of the world. It is the smell of the Orange River, sweet and muddy, mixing with the salt spray of the sea. It is the aroma of the Roman kitchens, garum fish sauce, oregano, roasted garlic, and heavy red wine. It is a savory, aggressive smell that speaks of a civilization that has conquered the earth and is now feasting upon it. It is a world away from the simple flatbread and mutton of the desert. Here, the flavors are complex, the spices are layers of history, and the meal is a performance. As you stand on the harbor wall, looking west toward the setting sun, think of the final destination of the silk. It still has hundreds of miles to go across the water. It will pass through the port of Ostia, be unloaded under the watchful eyes of the Praetorian Guard, and be carried into the heart of Rome. It will be dyed again, perhaps in the expensive Tyrian purple made from the crushed shells of murex snails, turning the pale eastern fabric into a deep, regal violet. It will be draped over the shoulders of senators, woven into the veils of Vestal virgins, and laid upon the altars of the gods. The silk we saw being spun by a peasant girl in a mulberry grove in the east will end its life in the most powerful rooms on the planet. But the silk also brings the invisible goods to their final Roman harvest. In the libraries of Antioch, the scrolls are being copied onto that new Samarkand paper. The ideas of the East, the mathematics, the astronomical charts, the stories of the Buddha, are being translated into the languages of the West. The Silk Road has succeeded. It has knitted the world together so tightly that a change in the price of silk in Antioch can cause a ripple in the economy of a village in the Yellow River Valley. We are no longer living in isolated pockets of humanity. We are part of a global heartbeat. The weight of the Roman horizon is the weight of completion. There is a profound sense of relief, but also a strange, lingering melancholy. The road was a place of hardship, but it was also a place of absolute clarity. In the desert, you knew who your friends were, you knew the value of a drop of water, you knew the rhythm of your own heart. In the crowded, marble splendor of Antioch, that clarity begins to fade. The world is louder, more deceptive, more distracted. The silence of the high plateaus is a memory that already feels like a dream. As the sun dips below the Mediterranean horizon, turning the sea into a sheet of hammered copper, the harbor comes alive with light. Thousands of oil lamps are lit along the quays, reflecting in the water like a foreign galaxy. The sound of a flute drifts from a nearby tavern, a Roman melody, structured and precise, yet carrying a hint of the Eastern scales. You sit on a stone bench, your weathered hands resting on your knees, and you watch the silhouette of a galley as it clears the harbor mouth, its sails catching the evening breeze. That ship is carrying a piece of your life. Within its hold is the cargo you bled for, the fabric you guarded with your life through the singing sands and the roof of the world. As the ship vanishes into the dusk, heading for the heart of the empire, you realize that the Silk Road is not a destination. It is a process. It is the eternal movement of the human spirit toward the unknown. Think of the Roman night that is settling over the city. It is not the dark, protective night of the Persian tent or the terrifying, starlit night of the Gobi. It is a night of marble and fire. The temples of Jupiter and Apollo are illuminated by massive braziers, the theatres are full of the echoes of Greek drama, the baths are steaming with the heat of 1,000 fires. It is a night that denies the desert. It is a night that says, we have built a world that will last forever. And yet, you know better. You have seen the ruins of civilizations that thought the same thing. You have seen the sand reclaiming the cities of the Taklamakan. You know that the silk will fray, the marble will crumble, and the Roman horizon will eventually fade into a new era. But the road itself, the act of traveling, the act of trading, the act of connecting, that is what endures. The Silk Road is the one true monument of humanity. As you prepare to leave the harbor and find a place to rest in the city, take one last breath of the Mediterranean air. It is the taste of the end and the beginning. The salt is on your lips, the sound of the waves is in your ears, and the long, dusty path of the camel is behind you. You have walked from the sunrise to the sunset. You have seen the world in its entirety, from the mulberry groves to the marble ports. Tonight, there is no caravan to guard. There are no bells to listen for. There is only the steady, rhythmic wash of the sea against the stone. The silk is on the water. The ideas are in the books. The journey is complete. Let the sophistication of ant wrap around you like a cool linen sheet. Let the noise of the Roman world become a lullaby. You have reached the end of the Silk Road, and the sea is calling you home. Breathe in the salt, the wine, and the marble dust. Feel the incredible, solid reality of the Roman earth beneath your feet. You are a traveler who has seen the world's secrets, and now you are a citizen of the world. The silk has reached its destination, and so have you. Sleep now, traveler, while the galleys sail for Rome. Sleep now, while the Mediterranean moon rises over the port. The road is finished, the horizon is reached, and the world is won. Sleep in the heart of the Roman horizon. The marble of Antioch has cooled beneath the touch of the moon, and the roar of the Roman metropolis has finally subsided into a rhythmic, distant hum. We have walked the length of the world, from the jade gates of the east to the salt-rimmed ports of the west, and now, at the very edge of the continent, we return to the one thing that has remained constant across every border, the fire. It is a small fire, tucked away in the courtyard of a quiet traveller's rest, away from the grand villas and the shouting markets. It is the same fire we lit in the shadow of the Great Wall, the same flame that kept the wolves of the Pamirs at bay, the same amber glow that illuminated the faces of the storytellers in the heart of Persia. As the embers pulse like a dying star, we find ourselves at the end of the Silk Road, and the final bell is about to fall silent. Look up at the sky. These are the stars over the Mediterranean, yet they are the same ancient witnesses that followed us across the Taklamakan. In the desert, they were sharp and terrifying in their clarity, like diamonds scattered on black glass. Here, through the soft, salt-heavy air of the coast, they seem warmer, more familiar. They are the celestial map that guided the camels through the trackless wastes, and now they stand watch over the ships that carry our silk into the heart of the Roman night. There is a profound symmetry in this moment. We have moved from the sunrise to the sunset, from the beginning of the thread to the finished garment, and the universe above remains the only constant in a world of shifting sands and changing empires. Listen to the silence of the sleeping caravan. Though the camels have been unloaded and the merchants have gone to their soft beds, the echo of the journey remains. If you listen closely, you can still hear the phantom jangle of the lead camel's bell, a sound that has been etched into your mind over thousands of miles. It is a slow, rhythmic memory, the heartbeat of the road. It tells of the miles won through patience, the rivers crossed through courage, and the mountains conquered through sheer persistence. But that bell is growing fainter now. Its work is done. The cargo is safe, the accounts are settled, and the road has surrendered its travelers to the peace of the destination. The weight of the journey is finally lifting from your shoulders. It is not just the physical weight of the pack or the dust of the trail, but the weight of the unknown. For months, your survival depended on your alertness, on the way you read the wind, the way you checked the water skins, the way you listened for the sound of approaching horses in the night. That tension, that high-wire act of survival, is finally dissolving. Your muscles, which have been coiled like a spring since the first gate of China, are beginning to unknot. Your breath is slowing, matching the long, steady pull of the tide against the Solution shore. You are no longer a guardian of the silk, you are a keeper of the memory. Think of the fire. Watch how the smoke curls upward, disappearing into the indigo dark. This fire is the hearth of the human spirit. No matter how far we travel, No matter how many exotic lands we see or how much gold we accumulate, we always return to the circle of the flame. It is here that the language of the Bazaar turns into the language of dreams. The stories we have collected, the tales of the golden peaches, are the secrets of the Raphia drug, are the philosophies of the mountain monks, and now being woven into the fabric of your own soul. You are not the same person who left the East. You have been tempered by the frost of the Pamirs and polished by the sands of the Gobi. You are a vessel of the Silk Road. The scent of this final night is a masterpiece of closure. It is the lingering smell of the cedar wood burning in the grate, mixing with the sharp tang of the sea. It is the scent of the Roman wine in your cup and the distant, floral ghost of the Persian jasmine. But beneath it all, there is the scent of a rest, ere that earthy, peaceful aroma of a journey concluded. It is the smell of a home found in the middle of a world of strangers. Feel the texture of the night. You are sitting on a simple stone bench, yet it feels more stable than any throne. Your hands, once calloused by the lead ropes and the reins, are resting quietly in your lap. The air is a silken curtain, moving gently with the breath of the Mediterranean. There is no urgency here. There is no horizon to chase, no mountain to scale. There is only the now, the exquisite, hard-earned peace of the traveller who has reached the sea. In the dark, the invisible goods are performing their final magic. The ideas you carried across the world are starting to take root in your mind, changing the way you see the stars and the way you hear the wind. You realize now that the Silk Road was never about the fabric. It was about the stretching of the human heart. It was about the discovery that the other, the stranger with the strange prayers and the strange clothes, is simply another version of yourself, walking the same road toward the same horizon. The silk was just the excuse we used to find each other. As the fire burns down to its glowing core, the world seems to shrink until it is just you, the flame, and the stars. The noise of history, the rise and fall of dynasties, the clashing of armies, the building of monuments, is nothing more than the rustle of leaves in the wind. What remains is the connection. What remains is the memory of the walk. You can feel the Great Camel walk is still vibrating in your bones, a low-frequency hum that will never truly leave you. It is the music of your life, the rhythm that will guide you through whatever journeys lie ahead. The final bell is ready to strike. It is not a loud sound, but a soft, resonant tone that vibrates in the center of your chest. It is the sound of enough. You have seen enough. You have traveled enough. You have learned enough. The road has given you all its secrets, and now it asks for nothing in return but your rest. The desert is silent. The mountains are still. The sea is a cradle. Observe the last embers of the fire. They are turning from orange to a deep, royal purple, mirroring the transition of the silk into the Roman dye vats. The light is receding, drawing you deeper into the velvet shadows of the courtyard. The stars above seem to be leaning in, their light growing softer and more protective. This is the caravan's end, the moment when the journey becomes a story and the traveller becomes a dreamer. The rhythm of your breath is now perfectly synchronized with the world. You are breathing with the tide of the Mediterranean. You are breathing with the pulse of the earth. You are breathing with the silence of the stars. The thumping of the bells has faded into a lullaby. The swaying of the camel has become the swaying of the universe. You are floating on the surface of a finished work. As you prepare for the final sleep of the journey, let the images of the road pass before your eyes one last time. See the golden dust of the Gobi rising in the sun. See the turquoise domes of Samarkand glowing in the twilight. See the frozen peaks of the roof of the world piercing the clouds. See the emerald gardens of Persia and the marble streets of Antioch. These are not just places, they are the chapters of your life. They are the threads of a silk that will never fade. The fire is almost out. The last wisp of smoke has vanished into the night. The courtyard is dark, but it is a darkness full of light. You can feel the presence of all the travelers who have come before you, the millions of souls who have sat by the same sea and looked at these same stars, feeling the same profound relief of the journey's end. You are part of a great, invisible company. You are never alone on the Silk Road. The final bell rings, a single, silver note that hangs in the air for an eternity. It is the signal for the mind to let go. The maps are folded. The ledgers are closed. The silk is sold. There is nothing left to do but rest. Sink into the incredible, deep stillness of the Mediterranean night. Feel the weight of the stone beneath you, the coolness of the air on your skin, and the warmth of the memory in your heart. The road is gone. The sea is here. The world is at peace. You have reached the Roman horizon, and the horizon has opened its arms to receive you. Breathe in the salt, the cedar, and the silence. Let your eyes close as the stars continue their long, slow dance above. You are a traveler of the Silk Road, and your journey has been a masterpiece. The long walk is over. The great exchange is complete. The fire is out, and the night is yours. Sleep now, traveler, while the Mediterranean moon watches over the ships. Sleep now, while the silence of the desert fills your dreams. You are home. You are safe. You are whole. The Silk Road is a memory, and the memory is a blessing. Sleep in the heart of the final bell. The journey is done. The rest is beginning. The stars are bright. The world is one. Sleep. Sleep. Sleep.